At my engagement party, my mom demanded I hand over my $45,000 wedding fund to my sister. When I refused, she slapped me so hard I hit the wall. I told her she was about to get a surprise she'd never forget. And when my fiancé's dad walked in, her face turned to stone. Hey, I'm Sydney Harper, 30, living the graphic designer life in this chill mid-sized town called Brookmere. Things were going pretty steady for me, but tonight was different, like it marked the start of something seriously amazing. I couldn't keep the smile off my face as I looked around the cozy, dimly lit restaurant. Everything was just perfect. The camel centerpieces were on point, the music was softly playing in the background, and the fresh flowers made the air smell wonderful. Tonight was special because it was our engagement party. After 4 awesome years together, Nathan and I were finally making it official. In just 4 months, we're tying the knot. Nathan was right there with me, as steady and caring as always, his hand gently on my back. We met 4 years ago when he joined the creative team at the marketing firm where I worked. We clicked during a company retreat, and it's been magic ever since. He's got this kind, smart, dependable vibe that I just love. We've built our relationship on respect, trust, and shared dreams. Tonight, our closest friends and family were all around, here to celebrate with us. As I glanced around, I saw familiar faces everywhere, our coworkers, old college buddies, Nathan's parents, and even a few cousins I hadn't caught up with in ages. And, of course, most of my family was there too. My parents, Erica and Owen Harper, were sitting near the front, but their smiles looked a bit stiff. My younger sister Chloe was there too, totally glued to her phone, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Knowing Chloe, it's probably her 3rd phone this year. We've never been super close, and that distance has only grown over time. But tonight wasn't the night to dwell on family drama, it was about love, commitment, and starting a fresh chapter. Or at least that's what I thought. Then, my mom stood up and gently tapped her wine glass with a spoon, getting everyone's attention. "Hey, can I have everyone's attention, please?" she announced, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "First off, massive congrats to my beautiful daughter Sydney and her amazing fiancé Nathan. I hope your marriage is filled with love and happiness." Everyone clapped politely and raised their glasses. Nathan gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, and I felt grateful. But then, my mom's tone changed, becoming colder and more serious. "I have something important to announce," she said, resting her glass down. "After discussing it with Owen, we've decided to give Sydney's $45,000 wedding fund to Chloe." The room went silent. I blinked, convinced I must have misheard. A nervous laugh slipped out as I looked around, expecting someone else to laugh too. "Funny, Mom," I said, trying to keep things light. "But that money's mine, I'm not giving it away." Mom's smile vanished, replaced with a hard, serious expression. "This isn't a joke, Sydney," she said sharply. "Your sister's getting married soon after you, and she needs the money more." Heat rose to my face, and my stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" "That's my money, Mom. It's in my personal account," I protested. "Honey," she replied, trying to sound calm, "you and Nathan both have good jobs. Chloe and her fiancé are struggling. She deserves a beautiful wedding too." I felt my hands shaking as I stood up, trying to stay steady. "We've already planned our wedding with that money. We've been smart about it. We even wanted to use part of it for a house down payment. You can't just take it away." Chloe suddenly pushed her chair back, almost knocking over her drink. "Don't be so selfish, Sydney," she snapped. "You could have offered to share it ages ago. You know I need it more." I turned to her, my jaw clenched. "This isn't about need, Chloe, it's about what's fair. I saved and planned. You blew through your own fund, and now you expect me to just hand mine over?" Mom jumped in, her voice sharp. "Chloe lives simply. She doesn't have much, and her fiancé is doing his best. You've always had more." "I've always worked for it," I shot back, crossing my arms. "I follow the rules. I saved. I planned. I'm not giving up my money." The tension was unbearable. Nathan tried calming me by putting his hand on my arm, but I wasn't backing down. Then, in a move that felt like it lasted forever, my mom stepped forward and slapped me hard across the face. The sound echoed through the restaurant. My head snapped to the side, my cheek stinging, tears welling from both pain and shock. The room was dead silent. Even Chloe looked shocked. Slowly, I turned back to my mom, my voice low and steady. "So, it was a pretty tense scene at Alden's Bistro. I had just said no to something. I'm guessing it was a big deal because out of nowhere, bam, I got slapped. I didn't see it coming, and apparently, neither did the folks at the next table who collectively gasped. Then, I caught the sound of a waiter at the bar calling in the cavalry, saying, "Yeah, hey, I need to report an assault here." In no time, you could hear sirens blaring, getting closer and closer. The whole restaurant went super quiet. People around me were either sneaking peeks at me or staring down at their dinner plates like they'd suddenly forgotten how to eat. I was just standing there, trying to wrap my head around what just happened, my face stinging like crazy. But honestly, what hit harder was the emotional part of it. Nathan, my fiancé, was right beside me, looking like he'd bite through a steel rod, while my dad tried to calm my mom, Erica, who was the one who slapped me. Soon enough, 2 cops walked into the place, and one of them came over to our table, asking if I was the one who got hit. I nodded, basically confirming the whole mess. A waiter nearby jumped in to tell them exactly what went down, that Erica had slapped me right in front of everyone. Erica tried to downplay it, saying it was just a family thing, but the cop wasn't buying it. He explained that assault in public is still assault, no matter who's involved. They asked if I wanted to press charges, and even though my heart was racing, I managed to say, "Yeah, I do." So, they cuffed Erica and led her out of the restaurant. I noticed Chloe, my sister, giving me this look like I was overreacting or something, but all I was doing was standing up for myself. My dad quietly followed them out, leaving the place awkwardly still, like nobody knew if they should clap, cry, or run for the door. Nathan held my hand the whole time, not letting go even for a second. Later, I talked to a lawyer and officially decided to go through with pressing charges. The next day, Erica was out on bail, but the wheels of justice were already turning. Fast forward a few weeks, and we're all back in court, but this time it's about the slap, not the money drama that's been hanging around. Erica was up there in front of the judge, who was going over all the evidence. They had witness statements and even security footage from the restaurant, so it was kind of a done deal. Erica got hit with a misdemeanor assault charge and ended up with a $2,000 fine, some mandatory anger management classes, and 6 months of probation. Lucky for her, the judge gave her the option of a 30-day suspended jail sentence instead of actual jail time. I was there, watching her avoid looking my way. When the judge asked if I had anything to add, I stood up, looked my mom straight in the eye, and said, "I didn't expect this from you, Mom, but no one is above the law." After all that courtroom drama, I thought things might settle down, but nope, it just made the family rift bigger. Erica didn't call, Chloe blocked me everywhere, and my dad just went radio silent. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get weirder, 3 weeks after our engagement party, I found a fat envelope in my mailbox. My stomach sank when I saw it was from a law firm. Turns out, my parents were suing me over a $45,000 fund. They claimed it was only meant for college, and I'd apparently misused it. I couldn't believe it. The money was mine, fair and square, put into a custodial account when I was 17, and at 19, I got full control of it. Both Chloe and I were told we could use our funds however we wanted once we were adults. I'd been smart about it, using a part for my public university fees and covering the rest with a scholarship. Meanwhile, Chloe blew through her fund at an expensive private school, dropped out, and then tried to start a boutique business that tanked in less than a year. She went all out with branding, a fancy photo shoot, and even a launch party with rented influencers, but ended up with nothing to show for it except a luxury car she impulsively bought, thinking she'd hit the big time. Now that her money was gone, they wanted to come after mine. So, I hired Brianna Lane, a sharp, cool-headed attorney, and she went through my documents. She told me, "They don't have a case. The account was a gift to you without any restrictions, and a verbal agreement doesn't hold water in court." I felt relieved but also angry. I asked, "Then why are they doing this?" Brianna shrugged and said, "Because some folks would rather drag you down than admit they made mistakes, especially when they're trying to protect someone else." And just like that, I realized it wasn't just about the legal stuff anymore. It was about a lifetime of favoritism and denial. My mom wasn't just after my cash, she was trying to cover for Chloe's setbacks by making me pay for it. The months that followed were going to be a tough ride, but I was ready to see it through. Those were some of the toughest times I've ever gone through. The legal battles just swallowed up everything, my time, my energy, and even my ability to focus at work. It felt like there were endless emails, legal filings, requests for discovery, and a ton of preliminary hearings. Every single time I walked into that courtroom and saw my parents sitting next to Chloe, all of them avoiding looking at me, it was this harsh reminder that this wasn't just any lawsuit. It was a huge betrayal. Chloe always had this smug look during the hearings, clearly thinking she was going to snag the money I'd worked so hard to protect. In one particularly tense session, She took the stand and told the court that the fund was always just for college. My lawyer didn't miss a beat and asked her, "Did you use all of your funds strictly for college expenses?" Chloe hesitated and muttered, "Well, not all of it." Brianna, my lawyer, nodded and pushed on, "In fact, you dropped out of college and used the rest for starting your own business and buying a luxury car, didn't you?" Chloe's face went tight, like she wasn't expecting it to be brought up. She tried to play it off, saying it was irrelevant, but it was super relevant. Brianna kept going, "So if there were strict conditions on this money, why were you able to use it for non-educational stuff without anyone raising a fuss?" Chloe didn't have an answer. I sat there, my heart was pounding, but I was surprisingly calm, as everyone else in the courtroom listened. It was all unraveling: my parents' favoritism, Chloe's reckless spending, and their attempt to cover it up by punishing me. Outside of all that courtroom drama, Nathan was my rock. He came to every hearing, held my hand through every setback, and kept reminding me that standing up for myself was important. But it was no walk in the park. The legal fees, the emotional toll, it felt like everything I had planned for my wedding was slipping away. We had to delay some plans, I lost sleep, and I cried, sometimes in the middle of the night or between work meetings. But I wouldn't back down. For me, this wasn't just about money. It was about being acknowledged, respected, and finally holding my family accountable. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they took a nosedive. I was at home going through a list of wedding vendors when my cousin, Melissa, called. "Sydney, I just heard the wedding's been cancelled, and I'm so sorry," she said. My heart sank. "What are you talking about?" "The wedding is still happening," I replied, confused. There was a pause, and she said, "Your mom called last week. She told me you and Nathan broke up because he cheated on you." My jaw hit the floor. Over the next hour, my phone blew up with calls from confused friends and distant relatives, all asking why the wedding was cancelled. Someone had even sent fake emails pretending to be from me, saying it was off. I checked my email, nothing like that was in my sent folder, which meant someone had created a fake account to impersonate me. I was stunned. My mind immediately jumped to Chloe. I didn't have proof, but the pattern was obvious. This sabotage wasn't stopping at legal matters, it had gone personal. I rang up Aunt Mara, who was one of the few not taking sides, and she sighed, "I was about to call you. Your mom's been telling everyone you're lying about Nathan, that you're unstable, and that the wedding wasn't really going to happen." Leaning against the wall, exhausted, I asked, "Why is she doing this?" Aunt Mara explained, "Because she's protecting Chloe. She's always protected her, even when Chloe didn't deserve it. I love Chloe, but your mom is enabling her, and now she's dragging you through the mud to make Chloe look better." This betrayal cut deeper than any courtroom testimony ever could. My own mom was trying to ruin my reputation to help my sister. Later that day, Nathan walked in and immediately noticed my expression. "What's wrong?" he asked, and I showed him the fake emails and relayed what Melissa had said. He was angry but not surprised. "Your sister just got in touch with me too," he said grimly. "She claims she has proof you were cheating on me. She sent some photos." I looked at him in horror. He showed me the photos, terribly photoshopped images of a woman with my face pasted onto another body next to some random guy. It was laughably bad but deeply upsetting. Nathan shook his head. "Of course, I didn't believe it, but my parents saw them too. Your family is trying to destroy everything we're building." That's when we decided to take action. We hired security for the wedding and gave them photos of Erica, Owen, and Chloe with instructions to keep them out. It sucked that it had come to this, but I wasn't going to let them ruin anything else for us. The morning of the wedding finally came, and it was a mix of excitement and dread. Nathan and I had picked this gorgeous outdoor venue just outside Brookmere. Nothing too over the top but classy and personal. White chairs were lined up on a grassy garden, all facing a wooden arch draped with fresh flowers. I was in the bridal suite, adjusting my veil, as guests started arriving. My stomach was in knots, not from the vows, but from everything else that was going on. From everything I knew could still happen, we had 2 security guards at the venue entrance with strict orders to keep my immediate family out. Nathan and I had planned this down to the last detail, but I was still on edge. Around 2:15, there was a knock on the bridal suite door. A guard came in, speaking quietly, "Miss Harper, we've just stopped a young woman at the back service gate. She looks like your sister, Chloe, from the photo you gave us." My heart was racing. "Was she alone?" I asked. "Yes," he said, "but she had a tote bag with a big can of red paint in it." I felt like I couldn't breathe. Imagine, my dress, the venue, the guests, it was her plan to ruin it all. I felt anger, sadness, and disbelief crashing into each other inside me. "Do you want to press charges?" The guard asked. We can call the sheriff right now. I hesitated. After everything, the slap, the lawsuit, the lies, the fake photos, and now this, I had every reason to call the cops. But this was my wedding day, and I had already let their drama take enough from me. No, I said, keeping my voice steady. Just make sure she's off the property for good. And check if my parents tried sneaking in too. He nodded and left. I dropped into a chair, trying not to cry. My best friend Isabel was right there, kneeling beside me. What happened? She whispered. I barely managed to keep my voice steady while I explained. Chloe tried sneaking in with paint to ruin everything. Isabel looked shocked, then angry. You know what that means? You won, she said firmly. They couldn't break your happiness, so they tried to wreck it. But you stopped them. You stood your ground. Now, go marry the guy who stuck by you through all of this. You deserve this day. I wiped away my tears, took a deep breath, and stood up. My Uncle Brian, my dad's brother, walked me down the aisle. As I stepped into the garden, there was Nathan under the arch, eyes fixed on me. And just like that, the rest of the world faded away, the betrayals, court dates, tears, pain. It was all about our love today. The ceremony was heartfelt and beautiful, with vows about strength, loyalty, and partnership. When we were declared husband and wife, everyone cheered. For the first time in months, I felt light and free. The reception was everything we dreamed of: laughter, music, and heartfelt speeches from those who stood by us. Isabel's toast made me cry soft, proud tears, the kind you get after weathering a storm and finding peace. Nathan and I danced, ate, and celebrated like nothing else mattered. Almost everyone commented on how beautiful everything looked and how genuinely happy we seemed. A few knew bits of the drama, but they respected our silence. One aunt even leaned over during dinner to say, "I'm so proud of you for standing your ground," and her words stayed with me long after the cake was cut and the last song played. As the night wound down, Nathan and I slipped away under a sky full of stars, running through a shower of rice thrown by friends. We hopped into the waiting car and drove off, grinning like kids. I glanced back at the glowing venue in the distance. Chloe had tried to ruin that moment, but she didn't stand a chance. None of them did. Our honeymoon was pure bliss, 3 peaceful weeks in a quiet beach town, far from Brookmere. No courtrooms, no confrontations, just sun, waves, and the man I loved. I finally allowed myself to breathe. Really breathe. For the first time in what felt like forever. When we returned home, I felt ready to move on. We focused on settling into our apartment, planning for the future, and leaving the past where it belonged. A few weeks later, I bumped into my cousin Rachel at the grocery store. After a quick hug, she asked, "Did you hear about Chloe's wedding?" I raised an eyebrow. "We're not really talking," I replied. "Your parents took out a loan for it," she said. "It's going to be at the Grand Garden Hotel downtown. Super lavish. They're even flying in a chef from out of state. It's a whole production." I couldn't help but laugh quietly. Of course, they'd go all out for Chloe, even if it meant debt. "Are you going if she invites you?" Rachel asked carefully. "She tried to ruin my wedding with a can of paint," I said flatly. "So no, I won't be attending." And funnily enough, no invitation ever came. I later heard through family gossip that several relatives declined their invitations to Chloe's wedding out of discomfort. So, here's how it went down. Some people were really nice about it, while others were blunt. Either way, Chloe didn't seem so shiny anymore, and my parents weren't thrilled either. Nathan and I used our $45,000 just like we planned. We had this perfect wedding, small, intentional, and surrounded by people who really mattered to us. The rest went towards a down payment on a sweet apartment just outside the city. With both our salaries, the mortgage was totally doable. For the first time, we were actually building equity instead of just throwing money away on rent. Our place is small, but it's ours. It wasn't just handed to us, we built it through tough choices and sheer determination. After the wedding, life settled into a groove I never knew I needed. Nathan and I spent weekends turning our apartment into a home. Nothing too extravagant, just some shelves we put up ourselves, a couch we saved up for, and walls full of photos from our wedding and our adventures. One Saturday afternoon, we were setting up the guest room, and Nathan was cracking up as he struggled with this IKEA dresser. He goes, "Who do you think will crash here first?" I stopped, screwdriver in hand, and for a second, I thought about my parents. Maybe in some distant reality, they'd say sorry, or maybe Chloe would own up to her actions. But honestly, I wasn't betting on it. "Whoever it is," I finally replied with a soft smile, "will be someone who truly cares about us." The holidays came and went without any calls, messages, or invites from my family. It stung at first. My birthday slipped by quietly that year, and for the first time ever, I didn't hear my mom wishing me a happy birthday. But then, I thought about the slap, the lawsuit, the lies, the paint, the fake photos, and the lengths they went to ruin something pure out of jealousy. Slowly, the pain turned into clarity. Nathan would sometimes ask if I thought things would ever be okay with my family again. Maybe someday, I'd say honestly. But if it ever happens, it'll take a lot more than just an apology. It'll require real change, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Chloe's wedding eventually happened. From what I heard, it was super fancy, champagne fountains, a hired string quartet, and bridesmaids in matching designer dresses. But some key family members didn't show up because they were uncomfortable with how my parents and sister treated me. To top it off, everyone found out about the huge loan Owen and Erica took out for the wedding. They threw everything they had into that one day, trying to make a statement, trying to pretend the past year hadn't happened. But it did, and everyone remembered. As Nathan and I embraced married life, I learned something really important. Family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who respect your boundaries, celebrate your successes, and cherish your peace. I might have lost a lot, but I gained a home, a husband who stood by me through everything, and friends and extended relatives who saw the truth and never doubted me. And, most importantly, I still had myself. I didn't break, I didn't back down. I protected what Nathan and I built, not out of greed, but out of self-respect. That $45,000 helped us secure a future, a home, and stability. But it really gave us freedom, freedom from manipulation, guilt, and a family that thought love was all about obedience. Standing up for myself was the real win, not just in court, but in life. If you found this story moving or could relate, give it a thumbs up to show your support. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy real-life stories packed with emotions and happy endings, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new upload. Catch you in the next story.